When the actor Philip Seymour Hoffman was found dead in his apartment last week from an apparent heroin overdose, it came as a shock to all but his closest friends and family. How he came to die that way at the height of his fame is still a mystery, although this was not Hoffman's first battle with drug addiction. He was only 46 years old, but he had already created a lifetime's worth of memorable characters, and the New York Times, in a front-page obituary, called him perhaps the greatest actor of his generation. He was in talent, in temperament, and commitment a true artist, intense, introspective, sensitive, and obsessed with his work. He did not often sit still for long interviews, but he did for us back in 2006 as his career was taking off. He just received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor in the film Capote, and we spent several days in New York and LA talking about his life, his work, and his demons.
If you can go to the theater and you're in a room with a bunch of other people and what's happening in front of you is not happening, but you actually believe it is. If I can do that, I've done my job. And that's the thing that is a drug. That's a drug. That's something you get addicted to.
When we talked to Philip Seymour Hoffman 8 years ago, he told us he'd rather people remember the characters he played than remember him. He insisted on meeting us at 8 a.m. in the heart of New York's Greenwich Village, which was the center of his world for nearly 30 years. He went to drama school at New York University and never really left the neighborhood.
So why did you want to do this at 8?
Well, it'd be easier to talk and stuff, and there wouldn't be as many people around. And
he came dressed as though he might have slept in the park or wandered out of a homeless shelter, yet we still got stopped by an admiring fan.
You deserve the Oscar, Mr. Hoffman.
Thank you.
He was already a familiar face, having appeared in 40 films in just 14 years.
Get out of the truck now, Sully!
Working with major stars and A-list directors, he'd become famous taking small roles and transforming them into memorable characters. Like the trust fund playboy in The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Absolutely once, a child.
Or the pernicious preppy in Scent of a Woman.
He's good cop, bad cop in us.
Or the gay curious sound man in Boogie Nights.
Can I kiss you?
Scotty, I don't...
Please, can I kiss you on the mouth?
No!
Please let me.
Let it ride!
Not to mention various turns as the obnoxious, overweight friend.
I'm just messing with you, Sasquatch. Let's get it on.
And a pre-op transsexual, all of which begged the question about his scruffy wardrobe.
Is this the real Phil Hoffman, or are you now preparing for some other role?
Now this is me.
He was totally without vanity unless the role called for it, and despite his success at age 38, he was still very much the struggling artist, consumed with the craft of being an actor and grateful for the recognition, yet suspicious of fame and celebrity and how it might change him and what he did.
I think part of being an actor is staying private. I do think it's important. Part of doing my job is that they believe I'm someone else. You know, that's part of my job. And if they start watching me and thinking about the fact that I got a divorce or something in my real life or these things, I don't think I'm doing my job.
You want to be a mystery.
Well, you just want to, you don't want people to know everything about your personal life, or they're going to project that also on the work you do. It's impossible not to, if you know enough about somebody, it's impossible not to, like my friends who I've grown up with and know me very well, I know they watch my films different than anyone else. I know they come up to me like, oh, that thing you did, that's just like the thing you do. You know, they'll say that, and I'm like, ugh, you know, because you want to find a way even to get them to think you're someone else. And when you get that person that knows you that well to think you're actually someone else and lose themselves, then you've really done your job.
Hello, my name is Truman Capote.
It was a challenge he faced every day in what is perhaps his most famous role, his portrayal of Truman Capote, who for 20 years was not only America's most famous writer, but one of its most recognizable celebrities.
Have you read the article about the killings in Kansas in the front section of the New York Times? I think that's what I want to write about.
The film deals with the 6 years that Capote spent writing In Cold Blood, which would make him famous and in the process ruin his life. The project was developed by two of Hoffman's oldest friends, Bennett Miller, the film's director, and screenwriter Dan Futterman. The three had met when they were 16 years old and knew each other so well they were concerned the film might end their friendship.
This is what Bennett Miller says about you. He works himself into a state of crisis and distress, worrying that people are going to know he's a fraud and that his career is over.
He talks too much, that guy. Well, you do think your career is going to be over all the time. I mean, that's pretty common. Part of my job is actually that it's me. I'm not a painter, I'm not a musician, I'm not these things where actually I'm creating something that then I can distance myself and you can actually experience it. I'm actually the one. It's me, my body, my head, my mind, my voice. It's right here, you know? And there is something about people criticizing that or failing in that realm, and it's actually you they're talking about. That is, that's hard. That's hard to take, and I do fear that, definitely.
Hoffman spent a huge amount of time at Miller's apartment studying old film.
You know that it had that effect on you personally.
He leans right in there. I mean, the guy's not even looking at him, but he's...
You can make it have exactly the same effect on me.
I mean, look how he adjusts himself to the guy, you know.
Plumbing the depths of Capote's life and his own to try and capture the character and get inside his head. He was worried that the line between parody and perfection was razor thin.
I knew that this was going to be something that the risk quotient was high.
Why was it high risk?
Just the possibility of humiliation.
Yeah, failing was high. Yeah, it was huge. People knew who he was. He's an iconic figure. The fear, the nightmare, the fear of just being embarrassingly bad in the role was very real.
Just researching this work has changed my life.
How did you identify with him?
The ambition, the drive, the wanting to be the center of attention, the wanting to succeed.
Those are all you?
Yeah, they're all inside me somewhere.